How you doing? You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good, good, excellent. Get all your plumbing and shit done.
My side, I have a duplex, and so they're working on the other side right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good though. I mean, galvanized pipe is just some old shit, and
Yeah, it's poisonous.
is it? Probably, yeah.
Can be, can be. Yep.
Of course, the city is probably still galvanized. I don't know.
Yeah, or even lead maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to say. If your house is galvanized, more.
Your sound just went off.
Am I back
Yeah,
or
you're
no?
back.
I just can't touch the boom on the mic or else it goes out. That's okay, man. Still, it's better than what we were dealing with before by acres.
Yeah, yeah.
And speaking of acres, I got all my corn in, all my pot seeds are in, raspberries are in. I planted some grapes back there that I harvested from this wild grape plant that I have growing, and they are the sweetest things, man. Oh my God. And I got most of my squash mounds ready, so I'm thinking that by the end of daylight today, I should be 100% done.
Nice. So, did you use raspberry seeds or starts?
I got those. Are you okay, man? Do we need to bring you some oxygen? Oh no, you were just
Put
smoking.
some more THC in it, and then yeah, sure. Do maybe one of those vape.
Oh yeah,
Blow up a bag.
yeah.
You could infuse that with oxygen, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of aerosolized THC in there. Fuck yeah, man! In some straight pure oxygen, man, you would get blasted quick. Oh my God,
Probably.
it'd be. Oh hell yeah! It'd be like blowing a hit with nitrous, man.
You could hold your head in for like a minute.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then you get wasted just from the oxygen too.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
Because I think we're breathing like 12% or something, maybe at the most.
I have no clue.
I haven't been keeping up on that. Yeah, man. The raspberries, I found those when I was Bigfoot hunting in Woodbury, which is, you got my address. If you look on Google Earth and you pan out just a little bit and you look north and east from me along 565 or 656 or something, there's this preserve that's like on the very, the road is on the top of the foothills. It's like it runs along a ridge, and it's a nature preserve, and it's a weird place, man. It's weird. I've seen shit in there. I've seen shit driving home at night. I was coming back from New Philadelphia, which is like a 2.5 hour drive. I was picking up my canoe. And at that time, I had my female Kelpie riding with me in my big-ass truck. And I had to, I had all the off-road lights on because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't really feel like hitting something in the road. And we kept seeing these white balls going back and forth in front of the truck. And it wasn't owls because, I mean, they do fly by the road, but, I could tell they weren't. It looked like somebody was flinging a beach ball at like 30 miles an hour from left to right and then from right to left again. And I know I wasn't seeing things because I looked at Dog and she looked at me and she looked back out the window and was like, fuck this. And she just laid down like, I don't want to see that again. Like I knew she saw it too because she was looking at me like, yeah, I don't want to see that again. But I found them inside. I found these wild raspberries growing. And they were delicious, and I thought, man, if these things can survive here, they can survive in my yard. Just on their own. If they can make it right here, they're a good strain and they're worth keeping. So, I I picked the bush pretty much clean because I'm an asshole like that. When you find berries, eat them all because it's going to be gone next time anyway. And I saved the seeds and spit them into a cigarette cellophane and got home and washed them properly and put them in some paper towels and dried them out. And it's been a couple years, but people say, "Oh, your seeds."
It takes about 3 years to get good fruiting, I think, off raspberries.
Yeah, because it needs to grow in, for sure. I thought about cutting some clones, but then you can't do that on preserved land. You're not allowed to do that. You leave footsteps, leave footprints, take nothing but pictures. But I don't necessarily always go by those.
A better option is to just not submit to any searches and don't answer any fucking questions. And then you just do whatever the hell you want, basically, unless there's a camera on you, which is getting common.
Yeah, and then right.
But still,
and you never can tell.
You still don't have a complainant unless you do.
Yep, that's true.
And they still don't have a warrant either way. So.
Yeah. How'd you like my tune that I played for you? Did you hear? Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
It said, what was it saying again?
Well, it's just sound bites from The Big Lebowski. I don't know if you ever seen it. It's almost an obligatory.
I didn't.
Is it just too stupid for you,
or something? Well, if you're not in the mood for it, then you're just not in the mood. Like, for instance, the first time I watched Zoolander, I was like, "Fuck this shit, turn this shit off." And then the second time, I was rolling. I was like, "Oh, this is funny," But it's like I just wasn't in the mood for it the first time, and that's how it works.
Yeah, it happens. I'm gonna hit the record button
on your what?
There we go. I'm pretty sure that we're. Oh, I'm in the studio. We're not live. I've put out no notifications on this. This is just me and you. Nobody can pop in and watch unless they have the link. It's not
it. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yep. So, I was wanting to ask you about our last episode that we did because it was so good, man. I thought it was really probably one of our best when we're watching Chile getting fucking railroaded by those commie pinko faggot socialist
It's
parasites.
Seriously important, and it's super common. So yeah, it's a great topic, and and then the analysis on it, I thought we did at least adequate to get your ass off the charge. I mean, come on, that's the standard. So as long as you can do that, then you're learning enough. And I thought we did cover plenty enough to at least, come on, at least cast dispersions on these fuckers. Or, it's not just talk shit on them. Yeah, talk shit. I talk shit. Shit talker. But,
well, it's all right.
Do it right. It is all right. It's your freedom of speech. But that's how you do it right, is you'll invoke things like, hey, it is my freedom of speech. Why are you even trying to tell me what to say? Can't you just have your opinions and I can have mine? Or like what?
Well, if you're in your official capacity, you don't get to have fucking opinions. You have to operate within the law. You're not allowed to have political opinions, and you're not allowed to ask for redress from me or from anybody else in the public when you're in your official capacity. You don't have rights. You don't have rights. I mean, yeah, they have a right to be secure in their person, obviously, from unreasonable.
There are inalienable built-in rights. That's true. So yeah, you can't make them talk. They have a right to remain silent always, right?
Absolutely.
But that's not a right they have with you as a citizen. That's just their choice, They're on the clock. So if you're asking them about some business stuff, then do they have a right to remain silent? I mean,
No.
they really don't. You can file
They
a
don't.
complaint on them if they remain silent. If they say something that pisses you off, you might arrest them for threats or, some sort of harassment or a disorderly conduct or... Yeah, so they don't have freedom of speech with you. They do have the right to remain silent, though, certainly, because it's just... You can't take that away. So
yeah, any public official can choose to be silent to a point, and
do they
then
have a right to do it? Not really, because they're at work and they're just. It's like, yeah, if you're asking them about their family life or something, maybe they have a right to not talk about it. But as far as like, hey, what's the call number, or what's your name, or where's your supervisor at? What's his name? How do I file a complaint? These are all official duties and responsibilities. It's like you don't have a right to remain silent here. Honestly, even if all they do is remain silent, you might accuse them of disrupting your business because you're there to conduct your questions. That's your business.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And when they pull this, well, I can't answer that because it's an ongoing blah, blah, blah. That's bullshit, and they know it.
It sure
I can't figure out who was... Yeah, I mean, you come in with cruiser designations, and you say, I need to know this officer's name and his rank. And you make it, if you make it a FOIA request, they don't, it shouldn't be a request. It should be a FOIA demand because we have, that's private or public fucking record. We have the right to see it. We've gone over this before. FOIA request is just another way of them making us pseudo kiss the fucking ring.
But if you're good at it, then it's a way of you making them submit to you.
Right.
Like, let me tell you something. I filed a FOIA request.
Yeah.
At first, they just wanted to tell me, fill out our form. So I wrote an email back, request denied. According to the ADA, I can just give it to you, and you can go ahead and fill out whatever stupid forms you want,
Yeah, do your fucking job.
Yeah, put it in whatever format's going to make you happy there, buddy. But as far as I go, I told you what I want. And so,
right.
He got it together. It was names. He ended up wanting $60 for some names of the cops. I was like, no, dude, you're depriving me of my right to this public information. And I get 20 minutes. That's how our state law works. I get 20 minutes free. So for each incident... Yeah, it was several incidents, but still, it's just the names. So
yeah, they're not allowed to charge for, up to like a certain volume of actual paper or binders. They're not allowed to charge you a fucking cent. They're just not. This reminds me of, huh?
Go ahead.
Well, if you need paperwork, then after a certain number of pages, they have to start charging you. Have to. But, FOIA, the intent of FOIA was to provide the information for free to a certain point. There was a high bar for paperwork. Now, if you want videos, they're trying to say, well, we can't because we don't know how to redact this, that, and the other thing. That's horse shit. I have I have software on my computer that I got for free that my dumb plumbing, digging ass learned how to use, where I can blur people's faces out and it moves along with their face in the video, because this is smart software. It's following like a very primitive facial recognition algorithm, and the block just follows the face. So if you need to redact someone or someone's information that the pig is looking at, or whoever that's whatever's on camera, it's simple to do, but it's too expensive for us we have to charge for that because we have to hire somebody from the outside to do it. Okay, that kind of makes sense because, you pigs are not even qualified to pick up dry dog shit properly. So, how are we going to expect you to do anything like that?
They certainly don't pick up the things in the road.
No. Well, there are other public servant parasites that do that. Theoretically. I know in Ohio, I'm not sure that outside a certain city and village and town limits that they pick up anything. Like on the side of the highway, I don't think the Department of Transportation picks up dead deer and shit, which is a problem because then the coyotes come and the raccoons come, and then you got all these. It's just it's a never-ending stream of animal corpses on the side of the road because they come to eat each other and then they get run over. But that's a whole other systemic socialist parasite problem. That actually is a problem. Roadkill can become a problem. But yeah, you're right. The pigs don't clean up after accidents. They don't, they expect the fire department to come by and wash blood down the drain when there's, a murder and there's a big giant slick of blood on the asphalt. I've driven past crime scenes in Columbus the next day and you can still see the blood dried in the fucking asphalt where they didn't even bother. Right. It's disgusting, man. It's beyond it just being a biohazard potentially. It's a filthy thing. We're human beings. We don't treat our dead like that. Even that blood laying there on the road needs to be washed down the storm drain because we don't need to be. It's disrespectful to leave it there. Yeah. It's disrespectful to the dead. And that's one thing that we've done. That human beings have done. Apparently, the Neanderthals buried their dead, and they weren't even really human beings like us. They were a whole different kind of cousin.
Well, do you know that all the evidence on that is just sketchy?
It is, but when you find multiple burial sites where there's,
but you didn't find any.
No, I didn't find any.
Right. So now it's all about trusting some asshole. And guess what his agenda is?
To get a paycheck.
Yeah, it's either that or... it's usually to get a paycheck, for sure. For sure.
Or to get funding for his next dig at Gotepli Pecky or whatever. Gotepli.
Well, listen, just like socialism, all these things are just an excuse to take money... And then you can give jobs to your friends, and you're always going to be siphoning off the top, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's the whole point of these. And it's the same with archaeology. Oh, Göbekli Tepe, I need to go and do some archaeology there. Good one. Like, what it is they just want the money, and they just want to go to the other side of the world and have some adventure and... How do you pay for it? And
hey, great bully for them for getting themselves in a position where they can pretend to be Indiana Jones and live in a tent.
Well, if we're going to continue to be dumb enough to just hand over money to everybody that asks for it, like, fuck it. Like, yeah, sure. Because, all these things, like all these charities and stuff, like, it's all such a hoax. It's all just such fraud. None of it's real. March of Dimes or any of that crap where they're like, they give, like, what, at best, 15%, 20%? What's the best that these organizations give? None of them are 100. It can't be that. They have to pay for some buildings, and they got to...
Right. Yeah, they got to rent a nice... They can't just operate out of... I don't know what to call them. It's like a garage with a little bit of warehouse space in the back and then a little office. It's big enough for 2 or 3 people to have a desk. You guys probably have them out there. It looks like a storage facility, right? They have roll-up doors and then a man door. They're like $800 a month. Any one of these so-called non-profit 501(c), that are able to stick their hands out and beg legally, even though begging is a protected right. Asking somebody else for money isn't a crime, whether you're doing it on a street corner or in somebody's front yard. If you're invited there. But the point is they could do it cheaper than they do, but they have to have this extravagance because A, they're probably involved in crime, and B, they want to attract criminals like them with that nice building and the nice cars in the parking lot and people wearing business clothes. We want to attract the same kind of criminals we are. George Carlin said it best. we're going to put all the street criminals in prison to make the streets safe for the business criminals. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about business criminals when you're talking about 5013Cs. Not
C3.
all of them. Yeah, whatever. 501c3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Some of them do good work, and some of them are above board. There has to be a percentage of them that are 100% right on.
No way.
But there's always somebody in the organization that's stealing something. There's at least one person that's a criminal in that organization.
No, that's the whole point of that's who came up with the idea in the first place was a criminal. And then he hired some other criminals. And then, I mean, it's just like these Indian phone scam operations. These are like huge organizations, or at least lots of little ones. I don't know what the deal is exactly, but
they're brazen. I know that.
Criminals, and they're just every one of them's okay with the crime, just like the Catholics or something, where it's just like every one of them's read the Bible and knows that basically everything they do is the exact opposite of what it says to do. Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
it's just they'll all just go along with it because they just. I don't know. They believe
it's butter in their bread.
They believe
it's butter in their bread.
It is true, but they also just believe in these people above all else. They're in the Church of Man, is what it's called.
Yep, just like
seeking acceptance and
who's that little fucking creep in Houston? Joel Osteen.
Oh, he's disgusting.
When those people got shot, well, I hated him before then. When those people got shot. He just couldn't stop smiling. He looks like the fucking Joker. There were somebody came in and was getting I don't know if somebody came in with a gun. The story was never made clear, but somebody came in with a gun, and there was an off-duty pig, and he shot this person, and in this big giant, it was the Spanish service, okay, and so of course, in America, those are. Black people and then brown people are the ones that get shit on the most by the system and the police because they're marginalized or whatever. No, I'm talking about legitimate Hispanic people that are here, not just, these asshole illegal immigrants, but that's a whole other. I don't believe
in illegal immigrants.
I don't either because, but anyway, somebody got shot, and in the press conference, Osteen just couldn't stop smiling while he was saying, well, things like this happen, and when we have to be vigilant, and we just have to pray, and like no care at all for the dead people, no giving a shit, no nothing. No, he didn't look sad in any kind of way. He's got this, like his face is pushed into a mold of this insincere crocodile smile. You know how he looks. You can envision him in his mind if you don't want to barf. With his crocodile smile that he always has on his face.
He's just totally impregnated by demons, man.
Yeah, he's
they all are. Everybody you see on TV is totally with it. Like, just like,
definitely,
I'll go along with anything. And that's just who they are. That's everyone on.
Yeah, well, him and Jimmy Swaggart, man. Swaggart,
I don't know.
You could see it in his. You could see it in his face. His face looks like a skull that's got some original recipe. He's got his skull looks like it's wrapped in original recipe KFC skin, and his eyes are sunken in, and he's got that slicked back used car salesman hair that they do, and he's just. You can tell from his facial expression.
This is part of it. Like, the American people are so like, dude, we either have to make some good choices or else who gives a shit what the government does to people?
Right. But, you're right. We're complicit. We need to start making better decisions. You're not wrong.
Handing off your cash to a guy like, who's the one that was like talking about his fourth jet? Or something like that, and I forget that these super churches and stuff, they're just disgusting. None of them are telling the truth about what the Bible says. That's all it would be. To be a great pastor is to just repeat the shit in the Bible, dummy. And yet these guys all have, I've got my own idea. I'm a great pastor because I got my own plans.
Right. Like, instead of take up thy cross and follow me, it's pick up your checkbook and write one to me.
Right.
If as long as you do this, and this, you'll be blessed with a giant house and a Cadillac. And you might even doctrine. Right. You might even get those seats at the local college football stadium that you've been wanting for years. That just might happen for you. So prosperity doctrine is bullshit, man. Prosperity doctrine
really going to have to actually do away with the concept of prosperity. Like, you'll have your prosperity. You'll have tons of raspberries. You'll have your prosperity.
I'll have lots of corn. You'll have lots of corn, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have your prosperity that you do, but as far as the world goes, you're not going to have prosperity like that if you're telling the truth.
No.
You're going to say, don't be wearing crucifixes because it's a graven image. And all of these people will be like, well, I was going to join that cult for 100 years, but he said not to wear a crucifix. So now I'm not in it. You lose business by saying no graven images. You lose business when you say we're not doing the Christmas bullshit, guys. It says in Jeremiah 10.
We're not going to put we're not going to put a Christmas tree up inside the church or in our house anymore.
Yeah, at all.
There was a story that involved Nimrod, and he put some kind of a curse on the pine trees, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, Jeremiah 10 is the one that I know, and it says, don't put, how did it put it? Don't fix a tree in your house with boards or something like that, and then decorate it with silver and gold. Like it said, don't do that. Don't be as the heathen that does that, is the way it put it.
Right. So he was probably talking about the pagan Arabs.
No, he's
or even
talking
maybe
about
even
trees.
Right.
Christmas tree.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but where was he getting that? Was he getting it from the Gauls? Probably.
I don't know who said it or how. I mean, it was in that book. I don't know. A scholar would need to look it up. But I generally just believe in these words. And when there's words like that in your Bible, and you're doing the opposite, then bro, you're a fucking you're a sicko. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. You're wasting your life and you're misleading everyone else. And it's just like...
Yeah. When I got to a certain age, I started, thinking about the nature of God and how... Okay, the best way that I can explain how I understand God is like... He's like the ultimate cop in the sky.
No way.
With like the biggest case of passive aggressive disorder that you could ever imagine. Because on one hand, he's being real nice to people and he's giving them things, and on the other hand, he tells Abraham to go sacrifice Jacob. Right? Take your most beloved son and murder him because I said so. That's psychotic, dude. That's crazy.
I don't know if it is. Here's the thing. God doesn't do anything at all. Nothing at all. God set up this world, and now it's for us to play out our nature, which he knows, and make our choices and stuff. It's like God doesn't do anything at all. So these Old Testament stories, maybe he did things back then. Maybe he did. I don't know. We weren't there. So for us to talk about it, they're just stories. But as far as what we see, no, God doesn't do anything at all. He lets people do exactly what they want to do, and usually it's disgusting, actually.
Yeah. You're
think about
you're not wrong.
All of these people that are like, oh, we need to pray for our troops and stuff, wouldn't they be stricken fucking dead? Like, these people are criminals. We didn't even declare a war. Why are we even over there?
Right.
We never figured it out.
No, we never. Well, we were in Afghanistan for several reasons. It was politically expedient. That was probably the least reason. And it was to destabilize the region. That's probably above the political reason. And then there's the dope.
No.
There's the poppy fields, that's millions and billions of dollars of heroin coming out of that country. We couldn't let that get disrupted. What, you got cat problems?
Doggy wants through.
Well, at least they're being quiet, right? I want to play this song for you, man. And just give me like 4 minutes and see what you think. And I doubt there's going to be any strike involved with this, but if you want to cut it from your channel, it's fine. But I was listening to this the other day and I thought about you. So here, I want you to listen to it.
Some say he was an outlaw, that he roamed across the land with a band of unschooled ruffians and a few old fishermen. No one knew just where he came from or exactly what he'd done, but they said it must be something bad that kept him on the run. Some say he was a poet, that he'd stand up on the hill, and his voice could calm an angry crowd or make the waves stand still. That he spoke in many parables that few could understand, but the people sat for hours just to listen to this man. Some say he was a sorcerer, a man of mystery. He could walk upon the water, he could make a blind man see. That he conjured wine at weddings and did tricks with fish and bread. That he talked of being born again and raised people from the dead. Who spoke of being free. He was followed by the masses on the shores of Galilee. He spoke out against corruption and he bowed to no decree. And they feared his strength and power, so they nailed him to a tree. Some say he was the Son of God, a man above all men. But he came to be a servant and to set us free from sin. And that's who I believe he was, 'cause that's who I believe. And I think we should get ready, 'cause it's time for us to leave.
It's one of my favorite non-radio songs. And I've been a big fan of Larry Norman since I was a little kid. But even though he wasn't perfect, you know, he definitely he was a wordsmith. He was a master of lyrics, and he was a great musician too. So what do you think, man? I mean, I'm not a Jesus freak by any means, but you know, I definitely feel certain ways about that man. You know,
Well, every single day they kill truth, way, and life. They sacrifice it every day in a million different ways, and we do it all. We've all done it, right? And at some point, you just get to this choice where you're just like, okay, yeah, I can take part in your nonsense, or
I got to go do something else. Yeah. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
I can't do it anymore, Kennedy. I've been at a place where I can't do it anymore for years because I see how corrupt everything. Years ago, a friend of mine said, "There's no sense in being upset about it because the entire world slides on a layer of grease that's made out of people that got in the way." And that was, even though it was disheartening to hear that, that's exactly the way it is, man. And it's been that way for millennia. It's the nature of human beings. We're fallen, man. We're fallen and we're bad by nature. We have to choose to be different than that. And, you know, lots of people can do it. I think everybody could do it if they tried, but, you know, it's easier to not care about anything.
this whole going along with the crowd shit is insane.
Well, that's a lot of what it is, man. You know, all of it is. Okay, so, you know, there was a story where these cops got shot and they killed some people up in Minneapolis or whatever. I've been looking into that for the last 18 hours, off and on, whenever I give a fuck about it. I still don't know why. They haven't given any reason why there was a gun battle. Maybe this is the Boston Common, dude. Is happening in the second Boston Common is happening in fucking Minneapolis. I mean, the news is full of shit, and they lie to us, but they have to tell some of the truth. If they have it, they have to tell us some facts. They have to give us enough facts. But whether we've come to a turning point where that's not ever going to be the case again, I don't know, because, dude, as far as we know, open street warfare could be going on from coast to coast. How are we going to find out about it until it's out in front of our house? Right?
It wouldn't matter to me anyway. I'm not going to be taking part in it.
No, I'm not taking part either. That's why I moved out here where I'm at, because I wanted to be away from the cities, villages, towns, whatever the hell you want to call them. I'm not going to say I saw this coming, but I saw something coming. And, I went 1,800 more feet above sea level.
Well, if we go along with this nonsense until there's a collapse, then that collapse is going to be very real,
Yeah.
And if we could pull our heads out and start acting in reality, in truth, in the way, and valuing life, then we can avert that, for however long. But yeah, eventually it's probably just going to devolve and degenerate into another event. It's just, there's so many people out there that are what do they say? The lights are on, but no one's home.
Yeah, they're empty vessels. Yeah, they're empty vessels, man. They're empty socks. They're just skin suits walking around. There's no essence. We've talked about this before, man. Either you have a quantity of character that holds you up, or you're just an automatic person. You're just an automatic man. You're just on passive NPC mode. Man, you're not taking part even in your own life.
Right.
And this is, I was telling a friend of mine, this is a girl that I've known since we were 14 years old, man. I've known her. She's my oldest friend that's still alive. And we were talking about this yesterday, and I was telling her how good it felt to be out there in the dirt, working that garden in. Even if I'm tilling it or raking it or hoeing it up and, or picking, pieces of wood out of it or rocks or whatever. It's fulfilling, man. It's not just it's not just sitting here watching YouTube or whatever. You know what I mean? It's something different. And then sowing those seeds, man, that's an act of creation. That it's, I'm not making it I am making it happen latently, but God has provided us with this soil and these seeds and the rain and the minerals and the dirt. And it's good for us to work that stuff. We create life instead of create death. I think that the biggest problem in the world today, Kennedy, is this. It's a passive cult of death, but it's framed in a way that makes people feel good about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They'll just pat each other on the back no matter what's common. So.
Right. Yeah. So there's a shootout and nobody got hurt except for the bad guys.
Right.
Whoever the bad guys are, whoever the narrative portrays as bad guys.
Right.
Are you familiar with
American?
Yeah, it's an American who's sticking up for himself somehow, or maybe he's on drugs and he lost his mind or whatever. I'm not a firm believer that anybody needs to be put down in the street like a dog, like a rabid dog. I don't believe that. I believe everybody is a human being, and they deserve at least enough compassion. Maybe we can help this person. Okay, right now we got to take them into custody because they're going to hurt somebody else or whatever because they're out of their minds. But you don't take 8 200-pound cops and pile them on top of somebody until they're squashed into jelly and they're dead. You don't do that, man. There has to be some compassion and some humanity injected back into the human race. And I think that
well,
the Constitution,
if things were working right, then that man has already created a victim. They swore a statement under penalty of perjury, and this person committed a crime, and now we're gonna get to the bottom of it. As far as 8, if that warrant is there, it shouldn't take 8. The guy should submit when the 2 cops, one comes up to each arm and, hey, we're taking you into custody. We have this warrant to seize you. As long as it's legitimate, then yeah, maybe there is a time for 8 people to dogpile somebody or whatever. But that's not what's happening.
No,
what's happening
it's
is
not what's happening.
Morons are just running around. They think they're the king, and now they're going to inflict it on anyone that they see. So, good luck.
Yeah.
Now you get to deal with this nutcase with delusions of grandeur over here pretending that he owns you.
Right. The servants ordering the masters around. I watched a video yesterday, and the whole time I wanted to reach in the screen and grab this kid by his ponytail and yank him down to his knees and smack him and then stick his face in the Constitution. I was so angry at him because all he did was fucking negotiate with these pigs.
Yeah, that's
and
all
you know
any of them really do.
Right.
These people are ridiculous out here.
There are a few who are right on the edge of being where you and I are at as far as where I'm at. To be at your level, I probably got a few more years of dealing with this before I even get there. But at least I got the idea. I know which way to drive to get to where you're at. I know that.
Stop being a defendant in your own head.
Right. You have to
complain it in your own head. You can make it happen or not if you want, but either way, in your own head, at least realize that they are the ones wronging you.
Right, and the Constitution is there to protect from exactly that. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's why the framers gave us that, because they were tired of being abused, even if it was politely, by the fucking nobles that were over here as, governors or mayors or whatever. I don't pretend to understand how politics worked back then at all, because
it was
it's so
slavery.
far.
They were being oppressed. They paid
they were occupied.
Taxes they were demanded. They gave up their homes whenever some redcoats wanted to take over your house. They just had to start serving these redcoats now. Like, yeah, you had a job and everything, but now you're busy taking care of these soldiers that took over your house. It's like, what? It's just slavery.
Yeah.
It's oppression. And it's the oldest story in the book. And so they came up with a list of things that once this line is crossed, that's a transgression against what God gave you, and it's an insult every single time. Not just, I mean, yeah, these guys will come out here and they'll consent to give up their IDs and they'll consent. Dude, you're not a legit person if you do that shit. Essentially, what the cops are doing is they're giving you a citizenship test.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me your ID.
No.
I'm securing my documents.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You got a warrant there, pig?
Where have you been? Where did you come from? Where are you going? Oh, no. I have a right to remain silent.
Yeah, that's the Fifth Amendment and Fourth Amendment right there.
Hey, you've seized me here on the side of the road. Where's your warrant?
Yep, Fourth Amendment again.
So, because they don't have that. So this is essentially, it's a citizenship test, and everyone fails it. Americans don't belong in America, to tell you the truth. That's why I don't really get bent out of shape about what happens to other people. You're not going to find me filming someone else's traffic stop. I don't give a shit. Grow up and learn your laws and defend yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, especially not from 20 feet away like these idiots are doing out here.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If they're my question to the auditing community is either, you need to either change your tactics or you need to go do something different. And if you're going to remain auditing for what you consider public safety, and there's no doubt that there have been instances where the auditors have quantitatively made a difference in the encounter. Like, it could have ended up really bad for whoever. And I'm not saying that, that everybody else's business needs to be everybody else's business, but that is the case. They have saved lives probably from being ruined and, saved people from getting the gut stomped out of them.
They're just pushing it down the road. They're kicking the can down the road, and next time it's going to happen to them. Because that's the thing is, once you just give up your entire sovereignty and you just admit that, like, you're the pig here and they need to tell you what to do because you're nothing but some barnyard trash. Once you accept that, then that becomes true. And now you're bound to that, and that's just how it's going to be, and that's your place.
Yep, and that the cops will be happy to beat you up and take you to jail.
Yeah, you'll
do whatever.
Complain about nonsense with them until they get pissed off and bust your window and drag you out of the car. Because it's just, one step after another is just gibberish. Case precedent this, and they call it law, though. Case law. It's case law.
Case law.
Oh, what's the law? What's the law? What's the law? So many of these people think it's time to learn the law once they get pulled over. It's like, dude, you deserve a ticket. Yours is not to have thoughts. Can't you tell? I mean, otherwise you know.
It's not funny, but just it's the way that you put it, man. It's so acerbic, but it's also witty, and that's what I love about you the most, man. Is you express yourself very uniquely. But you're absolutely right. It's a citizenship test, and if you're stupid enough to play their fucking game, which is, qualified immunity, Terry versus Ohio, officer safety, all this bullshit that doesn't exist, then you know what? You've voluntarily got up on the chute into the slaughterhouse.
Right.
And they'll be happy to cut up your life and pass out shares to everybody involved in the criminal justice system. They'll be happy to do that. Yep. And that's what they do. The question is,
somewhere.
The question is, are you going to be some fucking doe-eyed cow walking up the chute, or are you going to be a bull and show them the horns and tear at the ground a little bit and shake your head and chase them out of that fucking corral where they don't belong?
Right.
I'm not talking about getting violent with somebody, but that's how you have to be, man. Take your pick. You want to be hamburgers, or do you want to be the boss of that whole fucking herd over there?
Yep.
Which do you want to be? Do you want to be your own master and maybe, help some other people too? Or do you want to go up the slaughter chute and have your life dissected and butchered and fed off to these fucking parasites that are sucking off of the American people?
Right.
And that's what they're doing, man. Your analogy about the dollar, you make $1 and you pay whatever 5 cents of that for income tax. And then you got to pay tax when you buy gasoline. You got to pay tax when you buy cigarettes. You got to pay tax when you buy dog food, when you buy shoes, when you buy clothing, when you rent a hotel room. Everything is taxed. So by the time that dollar changes hands 5 or 6 times, it's got a negative value. Where does that vacuum get filled up from? The reason we have that vacuum is because of parasites.
Right.
These governmental parasites, these public servant pigs and clerks. Oh my God. I'm having visions of Colonel Kurtz in the back of my head again. These pandering nabobs, that just suck on each other constantly. It's like a ring of parasites sucking on each other. But we can get away from that if we're smart and we think and we speak and we have just a little bit of fucking bravery. You don't have to be super brave.
Transform yourself into a righteous, indignant complainant.
Exactly. That's in 3 words. Yeah, hell yes, man. Hell yes. You have to be a little bit angry, but in order to get it done, you also have to have enough bravery to do it. When it comes time, you got to step up to the line and take your turn. When it happens to you, you got to stand up, and that means you got to be brave.
Well,
Cowards don't.
I think anybody with kids is going to understand that either you ball up here and now, or else your kids are going to have to deal with this later. And so it's just like, yeah, it takes some balls and stuff, but bro, you have to face facts. Either this gets better or this is going to get worse. And we're on a direction right now.
Yeah, we're on a downward trajectory is what we're on. We had our listen. The good days can come back. America could thrive again. America could thrive again, and I think that's what makes me the most sad is because everybody is happy to trade that possible result for cell phones and Snapchat and beer at the OK Corral bar, or Sunday football, a little bit of Coke and a blowjob on Saturday night, football on Sunday, go back to work on Monday. They're happy with that because they don't. They don't
free
see
market provides them a lot, and we have fair wages in a lot of positions. Maybe not necessarily entry level, but. Once you've been doing it a while, you start getting a little bit more money, and you've already saved money if you've been making good choices on, getting your transportation costs down and your rent down or your, housing costs down. So, yeah, after a while, the free market is producing plenty enough to make you happy where it's like with this added income every month or whatever, I can improve. But it's just like, it's all for nothing if the government changes to full communism. Because that's when they are going to steal every bit of private property, including your body and your kids.
And they're already doing that with the kids.
They're already at the point where they believe in it. They think that that's what it is already. They don't respect private property. They think that your kids belong to them and that they just brainwash them all the time. And they're just here to get brainwashed by them and then to serve them. And then, especially the poorer they are, get them on a stripper pole or whatever. That's their plan for your kids. So,
yeah, sure, of course, because they've already made their picks for who the children that are going to fill those top slots. They've already made their choices, right? They've already made their choices, right? Because that's the just us system. It's also got to do with caste. Because the people that are at a certain income level, I would say most of them, man, are in cahoots.
Yeah.
There may be several. I'm not even sure about Elon Musk anymore. I used to think that he was his own man, but I don't think he is. I don't think he's his own man anymore. He was at one point, but he ain't now.
Look, man, he came out with the brand of being smart, and then he hasn't told us anything.
Right. He hasn't.
He didn't tell you that anybody needs a warrant to fucking come and put their hands on you. He didn't expose the fact that there's Nazis in basically every country.
Yeah. And they're in charge of our government.
We have a serious problem with incompetence pretending to be worth listening to at all. And then what happened with the electric cars? That shit's all crumbling. So how smart was he? Well, he got a bunch of government credits or whatever. I call them government coupons. That's what it is. It's
they're industrial tickets, man. Industrial coupons. You're right. Yeah.
It's compliance coupons, basically, where it's like you'll obey, and so you get
we'll give you
coupons, and if you'll obey even harder and screw people over or whatever, we'll give you even more coupons. But really, it's government compliance coupons. That's what money is. Ever since it changed to fiat, which means like by decree.
Yeah, it's right. It might as well be monopoly money. That's my great grandfather told me a thing. He told me a lot of things when I was a little kid. He was an interesting dude. He said he always used to say, "My son." It was just his trademark thing. He talked to my dad that way too. My son, if the money changes color, then you know you're in trouble, and you better hope you have some gold in a box buried in the basement.
Right. They basically outlawed gold though for a while. And
they did. And did you know
of course they can't because there's no complainant. You're securing your property. They can't outlaw gold, but they did.
There's that pesky supremacy clause again, getting in their way, isn't it, Kennedy?
Yep, as usual. But that's also our responsibility because nobody's been standing up and saying that.
Right,
So
we have to enforce it.
they're just like, oh, suspicion? Oh, someone's suspicious? Oh, okay. You want to look in my butthole then, I'm assuming? That's fine with me. Go ahead and do it. Documents, here you go. You want me to answer some questions? Sure enough. Well, okay, well, you failed your citizenship test. Pay up. Now it's time to take your ticket and pay the fuck up. Because it seems like there are people out here that might be contributing more than you since you're so stupid that you don't even know where you're at, or
Oh man, you say you're so stupid, and then I think about how stupid the cops are. I mean, they really, even the ones that try. It seems like the more they try to sound smart or look like they know what they're doing, the more stupid they make themselves look, because they don't have a fucking leg to stand on.
But it keeps working.
It keeps working for them because people are fucking stupid, like you said.
Exactly.
Well, what's it like to be so useless that you have to work for me? Yeah. That shit is iconic, man. That should be, dude. If you ever write another book, that has to be like the byline, whatever the title is, and then a colon, and then, are you really so fucking useless that you have to work for me? What's that like? That shit is that's some George Carlin type shit right there. That coming out of your head, which is awesome. That's great. Man, what else was I was going somewhere else with that. Oh yeah, these cops, man. And when they try to start talking like they have a brain, they start tripping over their words and saying wrong words and shit in there. And it makes me giggle because it's just like you said, man. What's it like to be so useless that you got to work for me? It just keeps echoing in my mind every time these cops try to act smart, because none of them are, man.
Well, when you don't have a weight that you're pressing against, meaning the citizens need to be pushing back and be in the resistance, but that's not happening. And so because of that, the cops are just like, oh, well, it's case law. And then
we'll just do whatever the fuck we want.
Grumbles. He's like, oh, fuck, he hit me with case law.
Yeah.
Bro, it's case
Okay,
law
so-
precedent. It's not even law. Case precedent. That's all it is.
So, Kennedy, what we need to do, or what somebody needs to do, is figure out a way to make a Peterson's guide to the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause. You know what I mean? To make it constitutional rights and responsibilities for dummies, so we can get it to these fucking people somehow.
Well, you really start risking giving legal advice, which I'm totally against. And here's why. The law exists. It's written down. If you need
Right.
my advice, then maybe fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, it's written down. You can go read it. And then, you can have different strategies of how you're going to invoke these things. And I get that. That's what we're doing with Chili's trial right now, which, by the way, this is going to be a pre-show, pre-published for my channel. And then the entire Chili conviction is going to be just on one video. And I like that better because it's just one topic. It needs to all be together.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's different strategies or whatever, but as far as giving legal advice, it's like it's not a good idea for anybody. I mean, lawyers are just nonsense jobs, so don't even bring them up in that argument.
Yeah, they spend more money on having the knowledge on hand every year than most people make, because they buy those books, man, and they have to be updated every year because the law changes.
Well,
and
but
shit,
it doesn't. It's timeless.
Well, no,
you have timeless rights, and then they'll just make different codes, different statutes, revised statutes, but it still all just falls under the Supremacy Clause, and as long as the person actually just invokes their rights when the time comes, then none of that shit is really. It's to impress you when you go in and there's a bunch of leather-bound books.
Well, but those are the codes that they have to look at to operate inside that country club law system, the just us system. We're talking about something completely different. But when I say that them guys spend that much money on those books, getting them updated every year, getting new editions or whatever, than most people make. They spend more than the median income is on books. Yeah, okay, they're all the fine, it's all a facade. Of course it is. And they need that many books because they've made the law complicated so that these idiots can rule us through stealth.
Right. They pretend like it's complicated. They pretend like you need all these books to understand it. But the truth is that you've just got your enumerated rights, and all you got to do is stand on them at the appropriate times, and
that's all you need. Yeah,
super simple.
Everything that we need right there.
Just trying to blow it up.
Everything right there under the Supremacy Clause.
Yep.